Hey, what's up guys, it's Chaotic Films here, and in this video we're going to be talking a little bit about free-for-all in Call of Duty World War II. I'm just going to be talking about the tactics that I use to do well in free-for-all, and just general tips that you guys can use in order to better your game in free-for-all. So, first of all, the first thing that I recommend is that you use quick draw with your weapons, okay? And this is something that I recommend in all game modes, and this is no exception with free-for-all. This is just something I recommend you do, and in free-for-all you're going to be running into a lot of gunfights, and quick draw just really helps so much. And a lot of the time, if you'll have a lot of moments in Call of Duty World War II where you'll be shooting somebody and you just look back on that gunfight and you're like, I should have won that gunfight. Like, if you lose that gunfight, you'll just look back and you'll be like, I should have won that. And the reason why a lot of the time this happens is because you weren't using quick draw, and the person had a huge advantage because they probably were using quick draw and they got their sights onto you much quicker than you got your sights onto theirs. So use quick draw, it will help a ton, trust me. It's helped me a ton since I'm now going to start using it on pretty much all my weapons now. So use quick draw, it will just help you a lot. Now, this tip I'm about to give you right now is something that I suggested in my previous tips video for Call of Duty World War II, and in that video I was basically just saying to hold your area, and this is something that really does apply to free-for-all. You'll be constantly, like, this is the thing, is that if you're in free-for-all, a lot of people rush all over the place to kill people, but in free-for-all, people are everywhere, and really all you need to do is just find an area where you can kind of get people continuously coming over to you, and then you can keep on picking them off, and you just want to kind of hold that area for a little bit. Now, like I said in that video, you don't want to camp in that area, you just kind of want to hold a little area in a map, and you sort of want to rush around that particular area, and you want to check all the different exits and entrances and all that kind of stuff, making sure that people aren't coming in, and if they do come in, you'll be able to kill them, and you'll just be able to have the upper hand. So that's something that I recommend you do, is check your area. Now, this next thing that I'm going to give you will probably sound quite obvious to a lot of people that play free-for-all, but this is definitely something that I see some people not doing, and it's definitely very important, so I just thought I'd add it in there anyway, and that's check your surroundings. Free-for-all, the spawn systems, I'm pretty sure work differently. I think the spawn systems in free-for-all still kind of work with the one side and then the other side on the map, but they do occasionally spawn people in different areas, obviously to avoid them being spawned really close to a person. But, you know, check your surroundings, because there will be people around you, most likely, so you just want to make sure that, you know, you aren't going to get killed from behind. You don't want to do this all the time, because it can get a little bit distracting from, you know, whatever you're trying to do. So if you're trying to get from point A to point B, you don't have to check everywhere, but it's always good to be cautious. Now, something that I'd also recommend that you do, which relates to this point, is you want to check your like, when you're walking into a room, you want to be careful. You want to make sure that there's, you know, this is something I suggest with all game modes in Call of Duty, but when you go into the room, you want to make sure that there's no, like, thingies that they use, like I'm not sure what it's called, but it's kind of like the equivalent of a claymore. You want to make sure that they don't have any of that kind of stuff, so you want to be careful. I think there's like a perk that you can use to actually do that, but if you don't have that perk, or you want to use, there's some other perk that you think should probably take priority over that, and you want to use that instead, just be very careful when you walk into these buildings, and you obviously want to make sure that there's no people in there, so just be cautious. And this is something, like, a lot of the tips that I give you in other, for other Call of Duty game modes, they often tend to apply to free-for-all significantly more for some reason, and that's what I was talking about in my previous video, because I actually suggested that you guys should probably play free-for-all, because it gives you a better idea of how you can actually better your game in other game modes as well, because just the tactics that you use in other game modes just tend to apply significantly more in free-for-all. I'm not sure why. That's just kind of how it's worked for me. It could work differently for other people. If it works differently for you, tell me if it does. But yeah, just be careful when you enter buildings. Yeah, that's basically my advice for that. Also, you want to be careful when you shoot somebody in a gunfight. Now, this is a point that I am reading here on the list of things, and I'm not exactly sure what I meant by that. Oh, wait, no, this is what I meant by that. So basically, when you're shooting somebody in a gunfight, I'm not actually talking about the gunfight that you're in. What I mean is that when somebody else is in a gunfight with another person, this is specifically for free-for-all, this doesn't really apply to other game modes, because they don't have, like, multiple, you know, people, it's just one team and then the other team. But when you're shooting somebody that's already in a gunfight, be careful. If you kill that person, that other person that I was going to kill that person, probably knows that there's somebody in the area, and they're going to be suspicious and they're going to like look around. So you just need to be careful about that. You need to understand that, you know, people like Call of Duty players are not dumb. They do have a certain level of common sense, and you just need to realize this and just kind of figure out, okay, how can I outsmart this person, and, you know, put myself in an area where they're not going to be where they're not going to suspect me. These are the kind of things that you need to actually consider. Also, I recommend that you use submachine guns in free-for-all. It sometimes you like, I don't think I am actually using a submachine gun in the gameplay in the background, but if you do, I might have. I don't even really know what the gameplay is. I just know that it will be a free-for-all gameplay just because it's appropriate to what I'm talking about. But use a submachine gun and use a suppressor. It will help you a lot. If it is a submachine gun that I'm using in this gameplay, I don't think I actually did use a suppressor, because I kind of, first of all, I feel like the suppressor reduces the damage. I feel like it's a good trade-off though for what the suppressor actually does specifically in free-for-all, but I feel like it does reduce the damage quite a bit. And I also kind of have this idea that if I'm not using the suppressor, people are just going to continuously keep on coming over to me, and that's going to be good for kills, when in reality that's not really the case. It's just going to get you killed a lot. But yeah, if this is something, you can use other weapons, but it will probably help to use a submachine gun with a suppressor. That always tends to help in free-for-all. So yeah. Anyway guys, who guys enjoyed this video? Tell me if you like these tips, tell me if they work for you, tell me if they didn't, and tell me what tips you guys use in order to better your game on free-for-all. So anyway guys, who guys enjoyed this video, and bye.